Hey, Shawn Worsfold here from LePage Kelowna SWProperties, and 2023 is well underway and very lots of fun. We're having a good time. It's minus 10 degrees outside. Looking forward to spring though. I guess spring is going to come and I get to do all the fall cleanup that I wasn't able to do then this coming spring. Yeah, things are going great. So hey, there's been some changes in the legislation for real estate owners and in the buying and selling process that I thought we would be just good to catch up on and do it with a little bit of a Coles Notes version, both on the provincial and federal level. And things are always changing in this industry. They're always changing and adapting and adjusting according to the market and legal needs, etc. And I've been through a lot of cycles. My family's been in the business for over 50 years here in Kelowna. I've been in the business formally about 25, 27 years or so. And we've seen cycles come, cycles go multiple times, and the continuation of the development of real estate ownership and buying and selling. And so more than happy to help people kind of negotiate, how does this affect their real estate interests. So I thought I'd go through 4 different changes that have happened in 2023 that will affect us. So number 1, we now have a home buyer rescission period, a 3-day cooling off period, as it were, in which no matter how an offer is written, it's actually legislated that buyers get 3 business days to consider their offer, and that they have an option to opt out on. And even if you have no conditions on it, you can get out after 3 business days. Now, there is a bit of brevity, a little bit of a cost there. If you want to get out based on those kind of provisions, it's about 0.25% of the purchase price. So on $1 million house, that would be about $2,500, which would get paid to the seller as, so to speak, mitigated damages. But the good thing on this, the pros of this, is that you have a bit of time to think about things, to be able to do some due diligence, perhaps, that you maybe wouldn't have had the opportunity to do when we were in the multiple offer situation and you had to come in with cash and launch the price up, no conditions. Now you have at least a bit of time to do financing, maybe an inspection, maybe an appraisal, maybe tell your wife or tell your husband, just in case they don't know. Whatever it may be, you do have some time for due diligence. Now, if you just have regular conditions that need to be removed, then there is no penalty, of course, because you can't fulfill your due diligence. And so there is no penalty. So the good thing for a buyer is that you do have some time. And the good thing for a seller is that you would have the confidence that the buyer has had the opportunity to be able to do his due diligence. And so there's a bit of a peace of mind, and that's a good thing as well too. And so yeah, that's something that's come down. It is a non-negotiable term and affects all residential offers. Doesn't affect residences on leased land or leasehold type of purchases, strictly residential. Secondly, no foreign buyers. There's a prohibition. It's called the Prohibition on the Purchase of Residential Property by Non-Canadians Act. There's a mouthful for you. That's Canada-wide. And this means that the federal government basically prohibits the purchase of residential properties from non-Canadian citizens or non-permanent residents of Canada for a period, and they're going to do this for 2 years. And that includes corporations that are maybe not incorporated in Canada or controlled by non-Canadians. My comment on that is, honestly, I don't know how much it's going to really affect us in the Okanagan real estate world here. I would say, as we looked at our stats, about 0.3% of buyers are actually from foreign entities. About 2.5% of buyers are from outside the country, but only about 0.3% are actually non-Canadians or non-Canadian citizens. Now, I think the bigger question, of course, is the government is also, hand in hand, putting a push towards a great increase in immigration up to, 400,000 or 500,000 people in the next number of years. I think that actually is very exciting because it's going to actually bring a whole nother group of buyers into Canadian culture, and those people will be becoming permanent residents or citizens. And, the stats say that, probably almost half of them within 5 years will be looking to buy and purchase. So, we more have to deal with the supply issue of housing overall in Canada, included in the Okanagan. And I think that's going to continue and maintain our market fairly strong. Number 3, there is now a home flipping capital gain trigger of 12 months. So if you own a residential property, be it an investment property or even your primary home, if you resell that at a profit in the course of 12 months since buying it, you will potentially trigger any kind of gains in price to be triggered onto your taxable income as business income. And so you want to be aware of that. There are some exemptions and, of course, nuances. And, there are some life situations, of course, that might allow you to be exempt, such as a job transfer or maybe a divorce or something like that. And, so it's just something to be aware of. And, this also, just to be aware of, is that the Fall Economic Statement 2022 also proposes to extend this rule to gains coming from assignment sales or pre-sale residential construction. So if you are flipping a property, perhaps in a pre-construction type of method, you do want to talk to your accountant to see if there could be some capital gain implications with that. So again, talk to us. We'd be more than happy to kind of work with you on that and see how that would affect you as well. Now, number 4, there's been a number of changes as far as strata ownership. And number 1, and this is just BC-wide, not Canada-wide, just BC-wide. Number 1, long-term rental. Bill 44 removes the ability of strata corporations to put a restriction on long-term rental. And that would be, monthly, yearly, etc. So up to now, there's been a number of, great developments, but they may have restrictions on their stratas and in the bylaws. So no matter what it says in the bylaws, even though they're registered, be it that you can only rent 10 units or maybe a percentage of units, that actually is now, done away with. Regardless what's there, it's a legislative act that now you can do long-term rental. Now that does not apply to short-term rentals. So if you're short-term rentals, less than a month, the strata still can penalize you and restrict you in that regards. So Airbnb, VRBO, those type of things, the restrictions can still remain. But for long-term rental, you're good to go. Pros of this, well, there are a number of complexes that are really, really nice that have up to now had some pretty severe rental restrictions, and that has actually stopped some buyers from being able to either purchase in a timely manner. Maybe perhaps they're going to look to retire in a number of years and they want to be able to get their nest, where they're going to go, but they've been wanting to be able to rent it out, create some passive income, perhaps have a paid out property by the time they do retire. But the rental restrictions have stopped that. And so now you actually can. And so that's actually a great thing. It might actually open the canvas up for possible purchases for both investors, people looking to retire, perhaps even people looking to buy with the future idea that they put their kids in to go to school at UBCO as a student, and instead of paying somebody else's mortgage and rental, they'd like to, funnel it through themselves. So some great opportunities in that kind of regard. Then 55 plus restriction. So now only age restrictions that are 55 plus are actually able to be enforced. We have a number of developments in Kelowna, of course, that were 19 plus, 35 plus, 45 plus. And so regardless of what the bylaws say now, the only one that can be really legislated and enforced and represented is actually 55 plus. So that might open up some possibilities for others. And number 3, on the strata ownership side, they actually have allowed for electronic strata meetings to be permitted without it actually being legislated for that in the bylaws. In other words, if you're a off-site owner, or you're a you live wherever you live, but not here, you can actually have an active part in your strata without having to send a proxy to one of your friends who own the unit to go vote for you. You can actually take an active part in the strata management and decision-making processes, etc., and being part of the meetings. There is some qualification. You got to verify who you are, but at least you're able to be a part of this and, have a more active role. So those are some of the changes that have happened in the both provincial and federal legislative branch that affect real estate ownership, the buying process, etc. Some great things, some good opportunities. And, if you would like to understand a little bit more about how this applies specifically to your property, I'd be more than happy to be able to talk with you. Give us a call. We'd love to serve you in that way. Shawn Worsfold, LePage Kelowna, SWProperties, 2023. Here we go.